Hello and welcome to this instalment of Talkin Trim. I'm Jonathon Skinner and today we're looking at some fully trimmed front seats for the Austin Healey range. Now these specifically are from the early Austin Healey models, so the 104, which is the BN1 and BN2, and then some of the 106 models, the BN4s, but it would have been with chassis number below 68,959 roughly. Generally referred to as the Longbridge manufactured factory cars. But take that with a pinch of salt because they were very inconsistent at that sort of crossover period. And we've certainly seen some BN6s with these style of seats in them as well. Effectively, the seat frames are different. The noticeable parts rather are the base pans here, which are plywood on the early cars, but metal on the later cars. And then the locating frame down at the bottom here is much deeper on the earlier cars. It's about half the depth on the later cars there. And then aesthetically, to look at the covers, the main difference is really this backrest element here, where on the early cars it looped all the way around here and it had this sort of hide-em on the back here with the piping around the circumference there, where if you look in this book here you can see that, so piping, hide-em there, and it loops all the way around there. Whereas the later cars, they effectively had a kind of glove. You can see that seam there. That's because they effectively made a slip-on glove element there, and thus you had that kind of seam that came across as the cover sort of went over that seam. So that's the main aesthetic difference between them, but like I say, there are a few other differences between them there. So these are the early style ones. Now, these particular covers have been done full leather. So they're not original, they're an upgrade in theory. Originally, they would have left the factory in what we refer to as leather faced, meaning the facings of the seats were leather, but the backs here were vinyl, and the surrounds of this locating frame were vinyl as well. Other companies in the industry refer to that original spec as leather. We refer to it as leather faced, not to be confused with full leather, which is what this is, where there is no vinyl on them whatsoever. Everything is leather apart from the piping, which is original spec leather cloth, as is the hide and banding, both of which we do as standard for all of our seat covers where colours allow. So I just wanted to really point that out, because I know people obviously try and compare apples with apples, and it's very hard in this industry, even before you get down to quality fitment, workmanship. Descriptions can be confusing, so I just wanted to clarify that, because not many other companies in the industry, if any, offer full leather versions, but they do confusingly just refer to the seats as leather, which is our equivalent of leather faced. So just keep that in mind. These have been done in dark blue using grained leather. We can also offer smooth leather for most colours, so see our website for details on that one. And obviously with grey piping, which was an original colour combination for the Healeys way back when. It's also worth noting that we offer two shades of blue for the Healeys. This is dark blue, which is very dark. And then we've got AH blue, or Austin Healey blue, which is still in the dark spectrum, but slightly lighter. And depending on who you ask, they're both original for the Healey range, hence why we offer both of them. Obviously, we always send samples to confirm and clarify these things. We don't like taking chances, we're extremely thorough. Now, I have done a few other videos, so it is worth reading the description below, as there will be links to the other videos showing seat covers, seat hardware, and other trimmed up seats. The reason I wanted to do this video, I don't want to spend too much time on it, is because they are full leather, and these seats are notoriously hard to trim. All of them. All the Healey ones were. It's the backrest squab. It's so tight fitting. But when it's done correctly and using the correct seat covers like ours, they look lovely. No bagginess on them whatsoever. The piping's right on the ridge of that frame there, but it's extremely hard to achieve. Now, these covers have been done using our customers' original frameworks, which is ideally what we like to do because we know they're correct. But the aftermarket ones are okay. They do the job. If you're missing frameworks, they do the job. But generally speaking, original is always the way to go if possible. But we know our seat covers fit both of them. However, we're not going to say it's easy and easily achievable. Even professional trimmers struggle with these seats. In fact, I had an incident earlier this year with an American trimmer who claims he does loads of British cars, and he went really rogue on these seat covers without much consultation at all. He said that the way they were done with these backrest hockey sticks was silly. He didn't know what the hiding was for. And then overall, he also couldn't get the material to bend around there properly and trim round. And they were on leather face seats. So this back panel here was vinyl on his version of the seats, which makes the job a little bit easier than leather. And despite me quickly emailing back and saying, don't alter the seat covers, I'll guide you through how to do it, he went rogue. He trimmed them much like the later ones where you tuck all this material round and on the inside. So we didn't have the wooden hockey sticks on there, didn't have the hiding or the piping on them. And then what really sort of closed the deal on it was he then decided to chop off the ear here, make a slightly longer cover, so he's got a double seam line going across. In the meantime, I contacted the customer and said, look, I don't think the trimmer quite understands how these Heeley seats go together. Perhaps you should go and see him. It was too late, unfortunately. The trimmer had gone rogue. Had the nerve then to email me and say that my seat covers don't fit properly, and sent me some photos of what he had done, which looked atrocious. Luckily, my customer got everything back from the trimmer before he went any further with the car, and we sorted out we came to an agreement with the customer to help him get out of the hole that his trimmer got in. But this is not to cast too much doom and gloom on it. This is what unfortunately we're having to deal with these days in the industry, is a lot of the guys that really knew what they were doing and were competent and familiar with the idiosyncrasies of how to trim these seats correctly. It's a dying art, unfortunately. So we deal with, professional restoration companies, professional trimmers, and hobbyists and enthusiasts alike. And we're more than happy to help and guide people. But we always say, look, refer to our videos. These are here to show and prove that these parts fit, but you've got to do it a certain way. You've got to do it a correct way. And we're not by any stretch of the imagination trying to say that it's easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So just bear that in mind. And like I say, this is to show and prove that these are full leather seats, which do not have the stretch in them that vinyl or leather face seats, where this back panel here would be vinyl. They do not have that amount of stretch in them when they're full leather. And we've managed to get it around there. It was hard. It took 2 people to do it. But they're the results you should be looking to achieve, either yourself or your professional trimmer. And if you can't, then talk to us. It's not a problem at all. But just rest assured and have confidence and faith that we know what we're doing. Whereas professional trimmers, they might have a very good overall idea of how to trim lots of different versions of seats. We have done the same seats over and over for 50 years. Everything is standardized as much as standardization in manufacturing can be. Everything is cut on this leather in-house CNC machine, leather vinyl, it's everything. All our soft materials are cut on here. We use the sew by notch system to make sure that they're sewn correctly. It's very hard for us to make a mistake. And that's why we've done it, to try and standardize it so that we know more than 9 times out of 10, 99% of the time, we know that everything is made exactly the same way. Therefore, if we can get them to fit, so can you. You just need to know the correct approach with these sorts of things. So just really wanted to bang that point through, because it was frustrating earlier this year having to deal with that. And I felt my customer was in between a rock and a hard place, between a professional trimmer saying they were unsuitable for use, the manufacturer saying they absolutely are, we know what we're doing, we can trim them up. And the trimmer kind of not listening to us. But I just wanted to really bang that point through, that you've got to watch out for professional trimmers these days, and always tell them that if they're struggling, tell them to get in contact with us before they do anything that's non-reversible, irreversible rather, because we are more than happy to help these guys, but they've got to ask for it. So yeah, just bear that in mind. Just FYI as well, I do plan to do some informative trimming videos of how to do these sorts of things. It is in the pipeline, but it's a lot of work. Obviously, we're a very small company, and so it will happen at some point. So stay tuned for that. But in the immediate future, just ask us ad hocly. Send an email, send us a WhatsApp, send us some photos and videos of where you're struggling. I can annotate these, get back to you with the best way of doing it. I'm known for my customer service in that regard. People know that I will help resolve any questions or issues you may have, much like I did earlier this year with this customer here. Even though there was zero fault laid at our feet, even by our customer in terms of it, he knows that his trimmer had gone rogue and didn't really know what he was doing. But of course, we don't want our customers to feel like they've been shortchanged, and thus we were more than happy to help him out we came to a nice agreement between us on that one. So just bear that in mind. But I just wanted to show this video here just to show how they should be done, even with full level ones. You know, so tight, so pristine. The piping's right on the ridge here. Everything's bent round here as it should be. They work. You just need to know what you're doing. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Please remember to check out the other videos at the end of this one. And of course, click that like and subscribe button and share with other classic car enthusiasts. And I'll see you next time.